Hi, third graders. I am so excited to be back learning with all of you. I hope you all had a great weekend. I am just so proud of how many of you are working hard. I cannot help but notice so many of you are working on iReady or Zern or even Reflex Math. Some of you have figured out how to get on Microsoft Teams, and you are working on the assignments on there. Some of you are sending me videos on Class Dojo, and it just makes me so excited. It makes us feel like we're still in the classroom with you, and I'm just so thankful for how hard you guys are working. I just want to encourage each of you to continue reaching out if you have any questions. Let me know if you are having trouble accessing anything, and I will help you as best as I can. Continue practicing your multiplication facts, continue working hard, following along through Zern, working on previous skills through iReady. You guys are amazing. You're doing a great job. Today we're going to look at fractions, and we are going to be now looking more at equivalent fractions. So I'm going to highlight the word equivalent. And as we get started today, I'm just going to stop and ask for all of you to pull out paper and a pencil or a note or markers or crayons or whatever you need to write notes while we are working through lessons. I think it's so important to be working through our problems and our lesson by taking notes. That helps us really remember what we're talking about. So like I said, today we're going to recognize and show that equivalent fractions refer to the same point on the number line. So we're going to talk about equivalent really quick. In one of my previous lessons, I had briefly mentioned what the word equivalent could mean. Equivalent is like the word equal. It has a root word of equal. So you want to remember that we're looking for fractions that are equal. They might have more parts, but really they equal the same thing. We're going to be comparing them using number lines. This will all make more sense as we go through our lesson. But first, we're going to start off with a fluency practice. Now, this is something we did in the very beginning of when we were learning about fractions. And we would take one whole and break it apart into its equal parts. Now it says to draw a number bond that partitions, here's this really important word we've been learning about, partitions a whole into three equal parts. So if we are breaking it apart into three equal parts, what fractional unit are we breaking it into for three equal parts? We are breaking it apart into thirds. So if you thought, okay, we're doing thirds because there's three equal parts, give yourself a pat on the back. You were correct. So if we're talking about thirds, we will need 3 thirds to make one whole. So in your number bond, each of these should have 1 third, because 3 1/3 equals 3 thirds, or 1 whole. So here's my 3 thirds, or 1 whole. Remember, if the numerator and the denominator are the same number, it's going to give us 1 whole. It means all of the parts are fully there. So what is our unit fraction? It's thirds, or 1/3. Okay, another fluency practice. Now this is not something we are doing today on our video, but it is just a quick little reminder to be memorizing your 8 times facts. Last week, a lot of you practiced your 7 times facts, and you were up for the challenge of sending me a video reciting your 7 times facts without looking at a paper, and you could do that on Class Dojo. If you have not done it yet, you can go ahead and complete that even this week. But I would like to encourage you to be memorizing your 8 times facts. So how can you practice from home? Make yourself flashcards. Look it up online, the facts, and then write them down. Make them really pretty, use pretty colors, write them on scrap pieces of paper, whatever you would like to do. You can also recite your facts then to your parents or your siblings. I definitely recommend doing that. When I was memorizing my facts, I used to practice with my brother all the time. You may also use reflex math on Clever to practice your fluency, and that is a really good resource to help you get quick on your math facts. And lastly, I know it's not on here, but I would like to encourage some of you to be even watching some YouTube videos that associate a song with the 8 times facts, kind of like vocabulary. Many of you guys love music, and that is a great way to memorize your facts. If you can even create your own song for 8 times facts, go ahead and send it to me. I would love to hear it. So send me a video on Class Dojo of you reciting all of your facts from 8 times 1 to 8 times 12 by Friday. You can do that at any point this week. Now, we're going to look at our application problem. Normally, we use RICE when we are working through our application problems, but today we're really just going to look at answering Part A, Part B, and Part C completely. We want to make sure we're answering them really well. So I'm going to read the entire problem out loud to you. I'm going to read each part, and then we're going to get started. Once again, if you do not have a scrap piece of paper and a pencil, pen, marker, crayon, please get that now so that you can follow along with us. Dorothea is training to run a 2-mile race. She marks off her starting point and the finish line. To track her progress, she places a mark at 1 mile. She also, or then, places a mark halfway between her starting point position and 1 mile, and another mark halfway between 1 mile and the finish line. Draw and label a number line to show the points Dorothea marks along her run. What fractional unit does Dorothea make as she marks the points on her run? What fraction of her run has she completed when she reaches the 3rd marker? So I am going to go ahead and get started by drawing and labeling a number line. We are going to be drawing a few number lines today, so you can go ahead and just practice drawing your number lines. Okay, and we know that she starts right here, and then she's going to end all the way at the end at her 2-mile mark. Okay, and for today, I would like for you guys to think of the 2-mile marker not as 2 holes, just as one whole race. This is one whole race. It's an entire race. We're not looking at this as a separate whole. Normally, we look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as different holes. This is just one whole race. Okay? And we're going to label it just like it had talked to us about in the question. So it says to track her progress, she places a mark at 1 mile. Now, what goes between 0 and 2? We know that 1 mile would be right in between. I cannot tell you enough, this is not a separate whole. This is going to be a part of the entire race. The whole race is our whole. Okay? Then it says she places a mark halfway between her starting position and 1 mile. So halfway is right in between them, just about right in between them equally. So make sure you have 2 equal parts there. And then another mark halfway between 1 mile and the finish line. So halfway, so that they just wanted you to make sure that they gave you equal parts. Okay. Now, how many total equal parts do we have? all together? I'm going to give you a moment to think about it. How many equal parts do we have to get to the end of her race? This is the finish. She has 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're talking about fourths. So her whole race is in fourths. So if we were to label the rest of our number line, I would like for you to label it with fourths. So the 0 is going to be 0/4. Then this is 1/4. That's part of her race. Then when she reached the 1 mile mark, she was 2/4 of the way done her whole race. Then she's at 3/4. And then 4/4 was at the end of her race. So we just drew and labeled a number line to show the points Dorothea marks along her run. So what fractional unit does Dorothea make as she marks the points on her run? What was our fractional unit? And you're going to look at the denominator. What was our fractional unit? It is fourths. So if you wrote down fourths, you are correct. That's part B. And then what fraction of her run has she completed when she reaches the 3rd marker? Now, we do not count this as one of her markers since that was where she started. So we're going to figure out what fraction did she land on when she reached her 3rd marker. So we would think about it like this. We're going to go 1, 2, and 3. So what fraction did she land on, or did she, when she reached her 3rd marker? It would be 3/4. She was 3/4 of the way done her race when she was at her 3rd marker. I am going to change the slide. I would like for you all to see. I did make my number line look a little bit different on this slide, just a little bit more clear. You can see my labels, and then you can see how I answered part A, part B, and part C. So part A, you can see I labeled it as this was our 0 miles part. This is where she started. And then when she finished her whole race, this is one whole race. She split up her race into 4 equal parts. So Dorothea makes fourths, and she has finished 3/4 of her run when she gets to the 3rd marker. So this answered part C. Okay, let's move on. So today for our concept development, we are talking about equivalent fractions on a number line. I'm going to spend just a few moments looking at this slide. Now this is going to be available for all of you through Class Dojo as an attachment. If you do not find it on Class Dojo, just let me know and I can email it to you as a PDF file. So this is our numbers fraction. These are number bars and our fraction bars, and we can look and compare them very easily by looking all the way down. And so if I look at one whole, I can look to see how many parts or how many fractions I need to make one whole to equal one whole. So we know that 2/2 is the same as one whole, or 3/3 is the same as one whole. Now, I could look at 1/2, and I'm going to just look at 1/2, and I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to use black, and I want you to tell me, just by looking at it, maybe what other fractions are the same as 1/2. So I'm going to draw it down, and I'm cutting actually 1/3 in half, and so we know that 2/3 is not the same as 1/2. But if I keep drawing my line down, Look, it matches up perfectly. So I'm going to stop right there. Now look, 2/4. So 2/4 is the same as 1/2. It is equivalent to 1/2. Let me show you, I'm going to stop right there. Let me show you another way by drawing a picture. I'm going to draw pizza right over here on my side using 2/4 and 1/2. I have two of the exact same sizes or size pizzas. Okay, and let's say we eat 1/2. I'm going to use a different color. We use 1/2 of the pizza the first night, or 1/2 of the pizza one night. Okay. Now, because there's only 2 people, let's just say there's only 2 people, we eat 1/2. Now, if I were to take a second pizza and just compare them, I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to cut it in fourths. Okay, and we ate 2/4 of the pizza, which is green. So now I'm going to eat, here's 1/4, and then here's 2/4. Okay, 2/4 is the same as 1/2. If you can look at those 2 pizzas, do you see how I compared them? 1/2 is the same as 2/4. Really quickly, if we keep looking down this fraction bar, and I were to continue this line down, you're going to see that 3/6 and 4/8 are also equal to 1/2, or equal to each other. So 3/6, I'm not sure if you guys can see this with my black pen, but I'm looking at this little section right here. I can see that 1, 2, 3/6 and 1, 2, 3, 4/8 are the same size. So 3/6 is equal to 4/8, which all of those are also equal to 1/2. If we were in person, I would have us look at all of the cubes. So I do want to just encourage you to be looking at these on your number or these fraction bars. You can even cut them out if you'd like to and arrange them and find out what fractions are equal. Okay, we're going to move on. So this is something you're going to actually work on during your time this week. So you're going to get this as a PDF to work on. So we are not going to work on the top section right now. That is something I want you to do by yourself, is to practice multiplying by 7. What we are going to look at is filling in the fraction units on the top and bottom of the number line, and then we're going to be able to compare them. Because remember, our goal is to be able to compare our equivalent fractions using a number line. So this is what we're focusing on, this part right here. And I'm going to use a pen. Oops, we're going to use a pen. We're going to use fun colors. We'll use bright blue for the top, and then we'll use a different color on the bottom. So the top we can see is talking about halves. How do I know that? I look at this bottom number, the denominator, and I see it's going to be split into 2 equal parts. So I'm looking at 0 halves, that's a 0. 1/2, what goes at the 1 right here? Is 2/2. Then I skip all the way over here to 3 halves. And then at 2, at the whole number of 2, would be 4 halves. Now I'm going to stop right there. I do want us to make sure, if you need to pause the video to draw your number line so it looks like mine, please do that. I want to encourage you to draw dotted lines in between our halves. That is going to make a lot of sense soon. Okay, so make sure your number line looks the same. You make solid lines for our halves and dotted lines for our next fractional unit. So we know, I'm going to just write down that this top one is halves. Okay. Now, on the bottom, I'm going to be using pink, and we know by the denominator, we're talking about 6. Okay. Now you're going to see, using a combination of the dotted lines and those solid lines, that we have 6 equal parts. Now let me just show you really quick. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to the solid number of 1. So we need to label each of those going all the way up. So we have 0, 6, and the next one is 1, 6. If you want to, you can continue your line so it touches it, so that makes it more clear. All right, and then we have 2, 6. Then we have 3, 6. So you're going to do this all the way on your number line. So I recommend halves being at the top, 6 being on the bottom. Okay, 4, 6, 5, 6. Now we have 6, 6. So 2 over 2 and 6 over 6 equals 1 whole. They're equivalent right there. I'm going to stop. Does anybody recognize another equivalent fraction with our halves? So we can say 0 over 2 or 0 over 6 is also equivalent, but is something equivalent to 1 half. If you notice, 1 half is lining up perfectly with 3, 6. They are equivalent. Let's see if we can find any more equivalent fractions. So we're still counting up with our 6's. We have 5, 6, 6, 6. Okay, and we have 7, 6, 8, 6, 9, 6, 10, 6, 11, 6, and 12, 6, or a whole number of 2. Now you can see that the 4 halves and 12, 6 are equivalent. They both line up at the whole number of 2. What other number lines up with 3 halves? What lines up at 3 halves? That would be 9, 6. You can see that it lines up perfectly at the bottom with our 9, 6. So we can use a number line. We partitioned the number line first into halves, okay? And then we broke it even smaller into 6's. Okay, our whole numbers, I'm just going to highlight them really quick because I do think it's important. Our whole numbers are 0, 1, and 2. Now we can use the number line above to make the number sentences true. Which numbers are equal? So when we look at 1 half, what is equal to 1 half? Well, 3 6's are equal to 1 half. What is equal to 2 over 2? We know that 6, 6 is equal to 2 halves. What is equal to 9/6? It is 3/2. And then what is equal to 12/6? It's on the same column as 12/6. It is 4/2. The rest of the sheet, I recommend printing this out if you can, or filling it out on your computer, or just making notes. The entire PDF will be available for you on, like I said, on Class Dojo. There is a second part that looks just like this problem we went through that I would like for you to go ahead and complete on your own. For some extra practice, we are going to look at our problem set that you would have done in your workbook. And it says to use the fractional units on the left. So let me just highlight those. On the left, to count up on the number line. So you can see we're going to be counting by halves and by fourths. Label the missing fractions on the blanks. And the blanks have the black lines. So we are going to go ahead and label the top with blue, so our halves. So at the 0, we would label that as, sorry, I need to take it off as, I need to erase this. Okay, I'm going to try again. I need to use a pen. And we are using blue. Okay, so on this line, we know 0, and we're talking about halves, would be 0/2. We then skip right on over. We have 1/2. We can skip on over, and we have 2 halves at 1 whole. Then we count up, and now we have 3 halves. And then we skip over, and now we have 4 halves at the whole number of 2. Now I use these skip jumps just for you to see that I am skipping by halves. I'm ignoring those bottom dotted or the middle dotted lines for right now. Now the bottom, we're looking at fourths, and that is when we do need to look at those dotted lines, because if you notice, between the 0 and the 1, we have 4 equal parts, and that's what I'm going to just show you really quick. So from the 0 to the 1, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. Okay, so at the 0, we have 0/4. Then our missing number is 1/4. Then right here at this line, we have 2/4. Then we have 3/4, and then at the 1 whole, we have 4/4. Okay, then we have 5/4. Then we come to our next number, which is 6/4. 7/4 is already filled in for us, and our whole number of 2 is 8/4. Right? And so that is really all you needed to do, but I am going to just challenge all of you. If you had copied this down, I would like for you to then go ahead and circle, I'll circle it in yellow, circle what are our equivalent fractions. So we know that 0/2 and 0/4 are equal. We know that 1/2, and we can see that 2/4 are also equivalent. They are lined up perfectly. We know that 2 halves and 4/4 is equal. We know that 3 halves and 6/4 are equal. They're on the same line of our number line. And then 4 halves and 8/4 are equal. Okay, so this is a great opportunity for you to use lots of different colors, lots of different number lines, and we are going to continue looking at equivalent fractions at our next lesson. So I know you guys can do this. Keep lining them up on our number lines. Keep splitting them up with equal parts, and you guys got this. All right, look for that PDF that I have on Class Dojo, or send me a text message if you need me to email it to your parents. I'm so proud of you guys, and I know you're going to continue with some awesome, awesome learning. I miss you all.